hockey players, Ryan DuPraw here, and another episode of DuPraw Powerskating. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a drill that you can use at home to work on your explosive and powerful forward crossovers. Coming up next. Hey guys, Coach Ryan DuPraw, and today I'm going to be giving you a crossover drill that you can do in the comfort of your own home, in the garage, on the back porch, the back patio, to work on your explosiveness and having pop and jump in your forward crossovers. Now, it is going to take a little bit of equipment, and all you're going to need is some kind of athletic tubing or bungee. So I prefer to actually spend a little bit more, get a really nice bungee training resistance cord that also comes with the nylon cover, so if this bad boy snaps during the drill, I'm not left with a nice black and blue on my thigh, because it has happened and it stings. It stings enough to make a grown man cry. Trust me, you don't want to feel that. The other thing is that if you spend a little bit more, you can get these handy dandy belt buckles, right? Real chunky, real safe, and they can hold a lot of force and a lot of weight, and you can do a million different drills with them. So I'm going to take you over here. We're inside the mad scientist laboratory here at the studio, and I'm going to show you how to set this up. Right, so what I like to do is I like to loop it around the door handle, and then I pull it flat around the end so it can actually close. Right, you don't want it on here. You actually want this to latch. I'd actually have my parents help me set this up, or find something else even stronger to reinforce it. Right, but it doesn't take a lot of resistance. Okay, and then as you can see, so I'm around the door handle inside. I also have the door shut, so the latch is also locked, so that bad boy is not coming out of there. That's another reason I like using bungees that have the clip with the belt system. Okay, so what's next? Let's belt up. So we get the belt on. I put it somewhere around the hips area. I don't want it up too high on my diaphragm, right? Messing with my airflow. I don't want it down too low, slipping, knees together, penguin, yard sale, you get the idea. So just right here around the waist, it doesn't have to be super tight. I just want to make sure that I have some resistance off the door. And if you've never done this before, I would just practice getting some movement, getting some crossovers in. You're not doing the karaoke, right? You're actually going to be going the same direction over each leg in this movement. Now, stay tuned, because this next part is super important. It's the difference between getting something out of this drill and just going through the motions and not making any gains at all. So number one, what we're going to do is we're going to work independently. We're going to work the left over right, and then the right over the left. And we're adding resistance, because you know when you add resistance, it builds your muscle memory quicker. If you have perfect technique and you're using muscle memory and muscles under a load and muscles under stress, they're going to learn quicker than just walking through this with zero resistance. So this is a great drill to build your forward crossovers. So a couple key points we have to point out, and we have to get this right in order for this drill to be effective. So rule number one, we want to make sure that we're always square against the direction we're walking. So think about a 90-degree angle, right? If my body, my hips, my shoulders, my toes, eyes are everything square up ice, this would be my 90-degree angle that I'm going to be tracking on the crossovers. Never should I rotate and turn. Now, there's a time and place for that on the ice, but in this drill, when we're over-exaggerating, we're building the muscle memory, we want it to be effective, I want you to stay perpendicular to the direction that you're traveling. So I'm traveling laterally, everything is tracking up ice. That's number one. So I would first just get used to, are all of my contact points facing up ice? Eyes, chin, chest, hips, knees, toes, everything shooting straight forward, right? Get comfortable with that. Rule number two, I would make sure that you're in deep, deep knee bend. We all know when you do a crossover and you're not down low, you're not getting much of a stretch or separation at all in your crossovers, right? So we want to push as much steel on the ice as possible, grab as much edge, and put power into that. And there's only one way to do it. Deep, deep knee bend. Okay? So instead of here crossing, now I want you to get comfortable down here. Walking through the exact same thing, lateral, everything else tracks up ice. Rule number three, I don't want you to ever grab onto the cord and lean so hard that you're dipping your inside shoulder. If this is the way we're doing our crossovers, right? If we're going to the right, I don't want you to dip that right shoulder down, because what happens is that starts taking you off your edges. The weight comes off your edges. You go outside edge here. You see a lot of players do it. The faster they go, they think they have to dip and lean too far off a parallel in here, causes slip on the outside edge. This one dominoes into this one. They come out from underneath you, helicopter spin, yard sail, corner. You look really goofy doing it, and everybody gets a good laugh. So let me walk you through it in slow motion. You've seen it a million times. Dip too far in, come off your edge. Your under push, outside edge, slips into your other skate, causing a domino effect. They both go shooting out. You go down into a helicopter spin, and you wind up usually yard sailed down in the corner. So how do we prevent that? Take your inside shoulder, keep it up, and even think about over-exaggerating and keeping your head tipped against the direction you're traveling, right? So it looks like this. It's almost like you don't know the answer to the question. You got a good shrug going here. That inside shoulder is up, and you're crossing. Now when you're first working on this drill, I don't have a problem with you hanging on to the cord on your hip if it makes you feel a little safer, a little bit more stable. But what I don't want you to do is to get that cord anywhere off of the side of your hip, out in front or too far in the back, and I definitely don't want you cheating, leaning so hard that you're dropping your inside shoulder, right? So if you have to, this would be the other version, but you're still up and square, inside shoulder is nice and high. Nice, constant, level, never coming up out of my deep knee bend. Okay, now part three is where a lot of the magic happens. A lot of players think the crossover is just the over, but the magic is actually in the under push that does not get a lot of attention. As a matter of fact, you see a lot of players that barely have any stretch under. They're doing their nice step over, they've got pop, they've got explosion and jump, and then they totally ditch and leave the under push, right? They just bail out on it. So what I want you to do is over exaggerate the under, see how far you can stretch that toe all the way to the wall or the door or whatever you're hooked up on, and stay on the steel on that outside edge as long as humanly possible. So it looks like this. Looks like this. So I'm down. I'm actually going to hold the cord on this one. I'm concentrating on my under stretch. So I come up and over, explosive pop, but then I'm stretching off that outside edge and through, staying on the steel and back. And I'm really thinking about stretching through the hip, through my thigh, my quad, all the way through the calf. Extend the toe and rest. So that's it for this episode of DuPraw Power Skating. Now remember, there's many other drills that we can do for our explosiveness and jump and pop and overspeed, but that drill was specifically to help you build the muscle memory to have powerful crossovers with that strong underneath push off ice in the comfort of your own house. Oh, and I almost forgot, I had somebody say, Coach Ryan, why do you do a lot of your drills in your bare feet instead of having sneakers on? Well, that's an easy question to answer, especially when you teach a lot of feel and flow like I do in your hockey game. You've got a lot of hippie in you, so that's naturally barefoot, but then the other part when I'm a barefoot skater, because I like feeling every ounce of contact with my edges as possible. That's why I do a lot of my drills barefoot. But if you're not, that's great. Do the drills in your sneakers and make sure you check the floor before you do any of this. Get your parents to help set up the bungee so you can do this drill safely. Hey, if this is our first time meeting, check some of the links down below for other DuPraw power skating videos that will help you become a more powerful and dynamic player out on the ice. And just like number 99, I hope you have a great one. We'll see you next time.